Welcome to A News. I'm Leila Masimwa. Here are the top stories. Wildfires continue to ravage Los Angeles as climate specialists warn of extreme weather events. US President Joe Biden says Israel and Hamas on the brink of sealing a ceasefire deal. Nvidia's stock dips after the US government said it would further restrict exports of artificial intelligence chips. Southern California continues to grapple with a devastating wildfire crisis as blazes in the Los Angeles area have claimed 24 lives, led to widespread destruction, and triggered mass evacuation orders. A wave of criminal activity, including looting and burglary, is taking advantage of the chaos, further straining communities and law enforcement.
The Palisades and Eaton wildfires have left a trail of devastation, destroying over 12,000 structures and scorching more than 60 square miles. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to smoldering ruins, with 24 lives lost and over 92,000 residents in Los Angeles County still under evacuation orders. Curfews remain in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the hardest hit zones. The situation remains precarious, as forecasters have issued a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning. High winds expected through Wednesday could reignite flames and undo progress made by firefighters in containing the blazes. Authorities are urging residents to follow evacuation orders and remain vigilant. As the fires rage, law enforcement is tackling a surge in looting and burglary incidents. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced charges against 9 suspects during a press conference, including 3 individuals accused of looting a home in Mandeville Canyon. Officials also released videos showing a looting incident at an Altadena home and the arrest of a man accused of arson in Azusa. Surveillance footage from one residence captured burglars stealing $200,000 worth of goods.
The first set of charges are against 3 individuals, Martrell Peoples, Damari Bell, and Travin Coleman. What 2 of these individuals did is on the night of both January 8th and the early morning hours of January 9th, they went ahead and committed first-degree residential burglary and looting during an emergency and evacuation situation in a house in Mandeville Canyon. They have been charged with first-degree residential burglary. They've been charged with looting. They've been charged with grand theft. They stole over $200,000, as been alleged by the charging documents.
Hochman emphasized the potential life sentence one suspect, Martrell Peoples, faces under California's 3 strikes and you're outlaw, designed to impose severe penalties on repeat felony offenders.
When they attempted to leave, they were then apprehended, and a number of these stolen items from that residence was found with Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell. Mr. Peoples is committed 2 prior violent or serious felonies. This is his 3rd. As a potential 3-strike person, he is looking at life in prison.
In addition to the crackdown on looting, authorities are investigating reports of illegal drone activity in fire-affected areas. One such drone collided with a firefighting aircraft last week, grounding it for repairs and disrupting firefighting efforts. Officials warn that violations of the drone ban will result in strict penalties.
Global temperatures in 2024 surpassed 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels for the first time, edging closer to breaching the Paris Agreement's target, scientists reported. The World Meteorological Organization confirmed this milestone after reviewing data from global experts, fueling concerns about the intensification of extreme weather events around the globe.
Extreme weather events intensified worldwide in 2024, including droughts in Italy and South America, fatal floods in Nepal, Sudan and Europe, deadly heat waves in Mexico, Mali and Saudi Arabia, and devastating cyclones in the US and the Philippines. Scientists attribute these disasters to human-induced climate change, which is making such events more frequent and severe.
So all the weather extremes that we're seeing are currently occurring in a warmer atmosphere and also with warmer oceans and in an atmosphere that can actually carry more moisture. So all these actually contribute to the fact that heat waves, as we've experienced them in the past, become more intense and obviously also more frequent.
Heat waves, now hotter and more frequent, occur nearly 3 times more often than in the pre-industrial era, with average temperatures 1.2 Celsius higher, according to the World Weather Attribution Group. Wildfires fueled by hotter, drier conditions are becoming more severe. This year, wildfires in Los Angeles killed dozens and destroyed over 12,300 structures. Factors like vegetation dying out and human activities, including arson and litter, contribute to wildfire spread.
So wildfire are a complex type of event. So there are many factors playing in. That's the management of the forest. That's where we build our homes, how much they are affected. But climate change can also play in a role into all of this. And that's particularly that wildfire, that means very warm temperatures and very dry atmosphere, becomes more frequent.
Storms and heavy rainfall are also intensifying due to warming atmosphere that holds more water. In 2024, atmospheric water vapor hit a record high, with the US experiencing its 3rd wettest year. The Philippines faced 6 typhoons in 30 days, while the US endured back-to-back hurricanes.
We've been observing a clear intensification or a clear increase in the number of heat waves over Europe. We've seen more frequent heavy precipitation events, and in some regions we've already witnessed more dry occasions of the land surfaces. So what used to be a very rare event has become much more frequent. For instance, heat waves, as they occurred only once in 50 years, they already today have become 5 to 10 times more frequent, and this trend will continue as the climate continues to warm.
Without significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, scientists warn that heat waves, wildfires, floods and droughts will worsen dramatically.
North Korea has launched an unknown missile from its east coast, according to South Korea's military. This adds more tension to the ongoing conflict on the Korean peninsula. It follows a similar test last week when North Korea launched a new intermediate-range hypersonic missile, its first test since November. The launch also comes just days before President-elect Trump is set to return to office, a leader who previously held a historic summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz questioned US President-elect Donald Trump's proposal for NATO allies to spend 5% of their gross domestic product on defense.
Speaking at a campaign event in Bielefeld, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz suggested that such a goal would not be realistic, noting it would consume nearly 40% of the German government's annual budget. According to him, 5% of GDP would be over 200 billion euros per year. Our federal budget is currently less than 500 billion euros, Scholz said, adding that this could only be achieved through massive tax increases or severe cuts to many things that are important to the country. Germany significantly boosted its defense spending after the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022. Last year, Berlin reached NATO's current 2% target by allocating more than 90 billion euros for defense and military procurement. Trump, who has repeatedly criticized European allies for not contributing enough to defense spending, said last week that NATO's goal should be raised significantly.
A new bill introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives could kickstart negotiations for the U.S. to purchase Greenland. The legislation, reportedly dubbed the Make Greenland Great Again Act, already received support by 10 lawmakers. The bill would allow President-elect Donald Trump to begin negotiations with Denmark for the purchase of Greenland immediately after the taking place office on January 20. If an agreement is reached, Trump would be required to submit the details to Congress within 5 days. In a statement earlier this month, Trump reiterated his belief that Greenland should join the U.S. for its strategic value, citing growing concerns about threats from Russia and China. While Trump has suggested the U.S. could buy Greenland before, his proposal was dismissed as absurd by both Greenlandic and Danish officials. However, the push continues, with some lawmakers backing the idea as a means to strengthen national security. A ceasefire deal in Gaza is very close to completion, according to U.S. President Joe Biden. Speaking at the State Department, Biden highlighted his administration's ongoing efforts to broker a deal between Israel and Hamas. Despite the challenges, Biden expressed hopes that these diplomatic efforts could soon lead to a resolution, including a deal to secure the release of hostages and bring an end to more than 14 months of conflict.
The war between Israel and Hamas are on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition. I have learned many years of public service to never, ever give up. So I spoke to Prime Minister of Israel yesterday. I spoke to Emir Qatar today. I look forward to speaking with President Sisi soon. We're pressing hard to close this. The deal we restructured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel, and allow us to significantly surge humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians who suffered terribly in this war.
Protests erupted in Israel as negotiators announced a breakthrough in talks to end the Gaza conflict and secure the release of hostages. Some family members of the captives voiced concerns over the terms of the proposed deal, while others voiced their optimism.
Israelis took to the streets to protest as negotiators reported a breakthrough in talks aimed at ending the Gaza conflict and securing the release of hostages. Family members of those held by Hamas since its October 7th attack gathered in Tel Aviv, demanding an immediate deal for their loved ones' release. Protesters carried photos of Israeli Air Force officer Ron Arad, who went missing in action in 1986 and is believed to have been captured by militants in Lebanon. The demonstration referenced Arad's fate, symbolizing the enduring hope and pain surrounding hostage situations in the region. Meanwhile, a small group of activists wearing white staged a sit-in, calling for the immediate release of all hostages.
I'm hopeful that this time it's going to happen and we're going to see 98 people back home.
However, some family members and supporters voiced strong opposition to the terms of the proposed deal, which includes a gradual release of hostages linked to Israel's planned withdrawal from Gaza.
This deal is a horrible deal. It's a tragedy. It means abandoning the hostages that are not released in this step. It means releasing thousands of terrorists that are only going to go back to their terrorist ways. There is absolutely no good that's going to come out of such a deal. It's a horrible deal.
Earlier on Monday, mediators presented Israel and Hamas with a final draft of the ceasefire deal, following a reported breakthrough in negotiations.
The official opening ceremony of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and the prestigious Zayed Sustainability Prize Award ceremony have just taken place. The event held in the capital of the United Arab Emirates saw the attendance of President Ilham Aliyev. Our Esra Abdel Salam brings us the latest update.
I am here at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and it's day 2 of this important event. This year's theme is Uniting Sectors for a Sustainable Future. The event brings together leaders and experts from around the world to share ideas and show new technologies for a better and greener future. Since 2008, this event has been a key platform for solving climate problems and supporting sustainable development, with over 50,000 people from 175 countries attending each year. Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev is also here. Yesterday, he met with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to deepen ties and discuss shared goals.
Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev met with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi. The leaders emphasized a strong partnership between Azerbaijan and the UAE, noting stability and peace in both nations. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev praised political ties and growing economic relations, highlighting UAE investments in Azerbaijan's renewable energy sector and cooperation in traditional energy. Azerbaijan has lodged a protest with Eritrea over the detention of 3 Azerbaijani-flagged vessels and their crews that have been held since November 2024. According to the Azerbaijani government, the 3 ships were detained after entering Eritrean waters due to rough weather conditions. Neba Muheddin reports from Port Sudan.
The detained ships left Baku and they were en route to Abu Dhabi via the Suez Canal. 26 people were on boarding according to the ship's owner. They entered the Eritrean waters due to the worsening weather conditions, but Eritrean government stopped the 3 ships and detained all of the crew because they said they entered Eritrea illegally. Azerbaijan filed a complaint since November 7th when the crew was detained, but Eritrea said they inspected all of the ships and they did not set a date to release all of the crews. Azerbaijan sent diplomatic messages, strong diplomatic messages to Eritrea via their embassy in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and also their embassy in Russia. This diplomatic issue between Eritrea and Azerbaijan is concerning for the 2 countries' ties and their long diplomatic ties. 18 out of 26 of the crew members are from Azerbaijani nationals. For any news, Neba Muheddin in Port Sudan.
And major developments out of Berlin, the German government is exploring options for the sale of its stake in energy giant Uniper. According to sources familiar with the matter, Berlin has sounded out potential buyers, including Canadian investment fund Brookfield. The deal could see the government part with its entire holding in Uniper, which was nationalized in 2022 during the Europe's energy crisis.
Berlin has sounded out potential buyers for Uniper. That is according to 3 people with knowledge of the matter. A deal could see the government selling its entire holding in the $18.8 billion energy utility. Germany's government owns over 99% of the company after nationalizing it in 2022 during Europe's energy crisis. It's reportedly pursuing a partial stake sale, or re-IPO, of around 25% as a preferred option. The sources added that it's also weighing exiting its holding in one go, and that the parties that have been approached about a full sale include Canadian fund Brookfield. A full sale to a private equity fund would be one of Europe's biggest in recent years. Uniper nearly collapsed after its former main gas supplier, Russia's Gazprom, first curbed and later stopped deliveries after the outbreak of the Ukraine war. The German government stepped in to ensure energy security in Europe's biggest economy. Germany's finance ministry said the government was examining all scenarios to cut its stake. It reiterated that the leading option for the reprivatization was selling shares via the equity market. Uniper and Brookfield both declined to comment. The sale talks come as Germany prepares for a snap election next month. While a new government's plans for the holding are as yet unclear, it will still be held to EU regulations obliging it to cut its Uniper stake to a maximum 25% plus 1 share by 2028.
Shares of Nvidia fell as much as 5% after the US government said it would further restrict exports of artificial intelligence chips.
The new regulations are aimed at keeping advanced computing power in the United States and among its allies while finding more ways to block China's access. The United States will place new limits on advanced graphics processing units, or GPUs, which are used to power data centers needed to train AI models, most of which are made by Nvidia. The company called the rules sweeping overreach and said the White House would be clamping down on technology that is already available in mainstream gaming PCs and consumer hardware. The restrictions do not apply to gaming chips. The regulations cap a 4-year effort by the administration of US President Joe Biden to hobble China's access to advanced chips that can enhance its military capabilities and seek to maintain US leadership in AI by closing loopholes and adding new guardrails to control the flow of chips. While it's unclear how President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration will enforce the new rules, the two administrations share similar views on the competitive threat from China. The regulation is set to take effect 120 days from publication, giving the Trump administration time to weigh in.
Turkey's premier technology event Teknofest will be held on May 1st to 4th on the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, the organizers said, promising an exciting 4-day celebration of innovation and technology at the Erkan Airport. Teknofest will feature technology competitions in 7 main categories and 14 subcategories, covering areas like social innovation, autonomous flight and cybersecurity. Held in various Turkish cities in even years and in Istanbul in odd years, the event attracted 1.1 million visitors last year. Over its first 10 editions, it hosted 10 million people and received over 4 million competition applicants. In 2023, it was held 3 times of Turkey's Continental, and this year it will take place twice, first in TRNC and then in Istanbul. That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for 2A News for more exclusive updates. We'll be back soon.